lovely Friday evening, everybody, on this last day of the month of May, May 31st, 2024. We're grateful to have you. It's a Friday, McFriday free-for-all, and I tell you what, we have brought the big guns out for this one tonight. We have got the one and only Tony Branco on the phone with us tonight. He's battling a late summer cold, or late spring cold, early summer. Tony, it's good to see you tonight, and we're going to do this by phone tonight, but I'm grateful for the short notice you're coming on tonight. Got a lot to talk to you about. Welcome to the McFiles, buddy. It's always a pleasure, and we get such good feedback when you're on, and looking forward to discussing the day after with you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Chris, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Well, we have been doing this a long time, Tony, 7 years, and it's not. It takes nothing away from any of our guests. All of our guests are important to us. There's just some that I always look forward to, and you're one of them, and I really do. And I love your website, comicallyincorrect.com, and just tremendous stuff. And we'll talk about some of the cartoons you got for us tonight. I do want to get your
thank you
take. And let me just say this for those that don't know who Tony is. He's an award-winning cartoonist, and he's got some of the best cartoons. Let me just change that. He has got the best, not just some, but he has got the best cartoons, political cartoons in the world. And he's been published in many, many, many newspapers throughout the country, and we appreciate him gracing the McFile broadcast network with us each time he's here. Buddy, the country changed yesterday. I don't know if people understand the depth of how it changed. It's been a solemn last 24 hours. We got news about 24 hours ago, maybe around 4:30, 5 o'clock yesterday, that this sham trial in New York went very badly for President Trump, 34 counts, guilty on all of them. And as expected, I knew it was coming today. The Dems are taking just an arrogant mockery victory lap over it, and I think they're going to rue the day that this happened. But in the short term, we're going to have to eat some humble pie, But I think that it's galvanized the base, and I think that it's brought in a lot of people from the cold that maybe was mixed on Trump going into 24, and I think they awoke a sleeping giant yesterday. I do, and I think they're going to rue the day that Alvin Bragg ever stepped foot in New York and did what he did yesterday.
Absolutely. I don't think there's a person on the planet who understands any of this that doesn't think this was a sham trial, and I'm including the left in this batch too. They know it was a sham, and they're laughing about it because it's not their guy. They hate Trump. Their hate has devolved into this irrational ability to completely ignore facts. And you have the Dershowitz, you have Turley, you have all these. I mean, it's just not them. It's a lot of legal scholars that have all determined that this is a sham trial, that this should never have come to bear. But here's the thing, that doesn't matter to these people. All they wanted was that trophy.
Yes.
That trophy that they could hang up and wave around for the duration of the election to say, oh, you're going to elect a known felon, blah, blah, blah. Although it was phony, although it was the legalities of it were totally wrong. And it's just totally trumped up. This would have never happened. Everybody knows this would not have happened if it was anybody but Trump. It's just, it's a travesty. It's a travesty that they would stoop this low, destroy the Constitution, destroy the legal justice system just to get a guy.
No, I'm with you 1,000%. And the way I look at it, there was several moving parts in this. The judge, I think, stands out more so than even Bragg, because Bragg had campaigned about this, and we knew it was coming. I think if the venue would have been different, if the judge would have been different, if you'd have just had a fair judge, Tony, I think that things would have been different. But go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, what I was just going to interject is this. I respect Jonathan Turley, the constitutional attorney on Fox, but I felt like that he was missing the point yesterday because he was trying to extol the system and say that the system still works. And I think Jesse pretty much heard that last night, Jesse Waters, and we had Leslie Milwee on here last night, and we both agreed, we all agreed that the system, yeah, it is workable, but when you abuse the system and you do what this judge and Alvin Bragg did and the people of New York, their legal system, Letitia James, and what they've done to go after Trump politically like this and use the law to do it, you no longer have a system, Tony. There's no such thing as a fair system.
No, and if this judge had 1 ounce of integrity, so if you had had a different judge with some integrity, he would have allowed a lot of these witnesses to come forward. He would have allowed a lot of evidence to come in. But this judge nixed a lot of evidence and a lot of the witnesses that they wanted to bring in to prove what this was. And it was just basically a clerical error that nobody would prosecute.
Right. Yeah, it was actually that. And I've got something that I want to read. It was from actually DC Drano today. And if I can get it to come up here, it was pretty good stuff. And this is what he said. I'll just read it to you. We've got it up on the screen. And I love what he said. He said, crazy how we have proof, and literally, that Obama, Biden, Clapper, Comey, and Clinton worked together to illegally spy on Trump, campaign funds paid for the Steele dossier, illegal wiretaps, nobody charged with any felonies. But Trump marks a legal expense, Tony, as a legal expense, and they turn it into 34 felonies. And it is insane, my friend. That is absolutely insane. And that's what they did. Look, we got some legal people coming on next week. We got Judge Sherilyn Allen and a couple of lawyers that we're talking to come on. I can't even understand this. And I've talked to a few lawyers, and they can't understand what he was charged with, Tony.
That's who I go off. I go off of legal experts. I'm not an attorney, but there's people I listen to. That's Mark Levin, that's Turley, that's Dershowitz, who is a Democrat, by the way, right, who never voted for Trump, will never vote for Trump, but he is primarily on the law. He cares about the Constitution. Even though he's a liberal, he cares about the Constitution because he knows instinctively that Constitution protects all of us and our individual rights. And these people are just stomping all over it. Don't realize that whatever is good for the goose is good for the gander, or is it backwards? I don't know. But you know, they
close enough.
Yeah, and they're going to dance around on the grave of the Constitution, just to rule over the ashes. And somebody else invoked the Cloward and Piven strategy again, because they don't care. The ends justify the means on this.
Tony, do you? I know it was bad yesterday, but are we looking at something that we don't come back from if this don't get rectified? Because this goes beyond Trump. I know that a lot of people are upset tonight. You know, I had an audience in here and people were visibly upset. You could tell by the comments. There was a lot of concern, a lot of anger, as it should have been, a lot of disillusionment. But are we as Americans, are we missing a bigger picture thing here? You know, I was watching something tonight, and Lincoln Riley, the young University of Georgia student that got slaughtered by this Venezuelan migrant, illegal. He's not a migrant, he's an illegal.
Yeah.
His trial begins today. He pled not guilty today. And are we missing what's really important in our justice system for this sham trial? And I've got your cartoon with the Merchant of Death, the lawfare and the justice system with a blade with blood dripping down from it. Tony, we had the Constitution shredded in this trial. I mean, it was absolutely shredded. And you know, look, that is what concerns me, is the long-term effects of this, not just for President Trump short-term, but I'm talking the long-term effects that, buddy, this has opened up a can of, you know what, a can of crap. And I got a term for it I can't use tonight, but it's not good.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what they want. They don't care about the Constitution. All they care about is winning. And if they can keep Trump off the campaign trail, That's all they care about. As long as they have that trophy, they don't care about the Constitution. The Constitution gets in the way of these leftists in a way that is people don't understand. And I think what people don't understand is that they don't care about it. They don't care about how the Constitution works. All they care about is their power. And I think that the missing part here might be for a lot of people is these Republicans think we're playing the old game of tit for tat stuff. No, we're in a whole different realm here. We're in a destroy anybody at any cost realm. And I don't know how you stop it, because the only way that you can keep these leftists from doing this is to fight fire with fire. So that means you have to do this. It means that the conservative has to step up and start attacking these people with their own game. And Republicans don't like doing that. They respect the Constitution and the rule of law, but these people don't. It's like, how can you win if you're the only side that can't cheat?
That's very true. And let me add something to that. There's not been even one peaceful protest, Tony, over this. You've not seen the Republicans get out in the streets and burn crap to the ground, bust windows out, burn cars, burn stores, beat people up in the street with clubs, threaten people with machetes, curse cops, have to be sprayed, tear gas sprayed to stop from rioting. We don't see any of that tonight, do we? We sure don't.
No, not on our side.
No.
You saw that on the other side when Trump won. You saw people rioting. You saw people burning cars. But on our side, that's not our modus operandi. They like to bring up J6, but J6 was pretty much just a protest that kind of got out of hand. But
right.
Nobody, the Capitol really wasn't damaged other than a couple of windows. You had a bunch of people staying within the ropes, meandering down the hall. You had grandmas taking selfies. And that was supposed to be an armed insurrection. And they have beat that drum for the last few years, and they'll continue to beat that drum. Although we had the Summer of Love, where cities were almost entirely burnt down. You had police stations burnt down, courthouses burnt down, police officers killed. And yet we're not supposed to bring that or contrast that to J6. It's an armed insurrection, the worst day since Pearl Harbor. I don't know. I think a lot of the people that died in that Summer of Love and police officers and that would attest that it was a pretty bad time.
Very bad time. And Tony, there was death. I mean, you're right. There were people that were killed by these protests. There were people that were injured. And think about the financial loss to these businesses. And again, the media tonight, they were salivating. I think they were salivating for us to do that. And I was trying to sort of calm a crowd down here last night. And I got a good audience. I'm not saying that to disparage my audience. My audience is the best in the world. Right. But I know that it was in the mind of some out there in the public, not necessarily my audience, but I'm sure that there were some mega folks that said we need to get out there and do something. But I think that the way we respond to this is, I'm just going to use a very simple figure, 52.8. And what I mean by that is in the last 24 hours, President Trump has raised $52.8 billion. 30% of that is by people or by people that has never donated to him before. In addition to that, I saw Rick Scott on tonight, and he basically has vowed that the Republicans are finally going to get something called balls, and they are not going to approve any of Joe Biden's legal nominees, any of his cabinet posts at all. And no matter what, they're gonna put a line in the sand. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see
how that goes.
Cut off the funding, and that's going to go back to Mike Johnson too in the House. Let me ask you this: the ripple effect of this. Do you see this being a down ballot earthquake? Do you think that this shakes the House and the Senate up like it will the election, and perhaps. Does Judge Marchand run the risk of making Donald Trump a martyr if he decides to jail him in July? Because I don't think he wants to do that. I think that maybe deep down in his heart he wants to be tough on Trump, but I think that if he's out to get Trump for the election, he's not going to give him jail time because it's just a freaking clerical error.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. I think that people need to wait. The day's coming to where we get our retribution, and that is at the ballot box.
Absolutely.
If we can swarm the ballot box, I mean swarm them all down ballot. Now, if the election was held tomorrow, I think we'd have a landslide. But there's some time between now and November 5th, and we need to just store it up. We need to get active. People need to get active out of their communities. They need to be part of the process instead of sitting back and allowing things just, oh, well, they got it taken care of down there. I don't care if you're in a blue state or red state. You need to get involved and get people charged up. Everybody can do something. And, a lot of people think they have no power. But you have a voice and you have an ability to get out there and say something, do something, whether it's wear a T-shirt or a hat or whatever it is. Don't sit on this one. I'm begging people not to sit on this one. We can't afford it. If Trump doesn't win, we are in serious, serious trouble because they'll figure that this lawfare worked and they're going to go after everybody, from the little guy to the big guy. If you think DeSantis, if he was running it in 2008 or 28, if you don't think they're going to go after him,
they'll go after him.
Thing,
absolutely.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely. I think this is a test. I do. And do you also believe that the red state attorney generals need to get some balls and start doing this to the left?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so much. I was listening today, different pontificators about all the things that they could do if they had a spine and some balls. But for some reason, they want to sit back and hope that this all goes away. It's not going away. We've seen that they have drawn first blood. We've seen what they're able to destroy our judicial system to win.
Yes.
So we need to figure out a way to fight back and not sit back and hope it goes away. It's not going away, folks.
No, it's not, Tony. They did something yesterday that crossed the line. And this brings me to the next discussion with you real quick. You did two great cartoons. I'll show the first one where Joe Biden is his debate anytime, any place with his sippy cup. And then he gives the rules of no live audience, RFK banned, Trump mic muted while Biden speaks, only hosted on NPR, CNN, MSNBC, or CBS, ABC, moderated, of course, by a Democrat-aligned reporter. And Trump says, I like those odds. And then you've got another one with fake Tapper, which I love. Got any advice on how to keep Trump from exposing the truth during the debate from Judge Marchand? Buddy, how much does this affect the debate now?
Well, I don't know. I think they're working on a strategy right now to muzzle him. Now, I'm not talking about just muzzling him while Biden talks. We've seen from the last few debates with Trump, the mainstream media try to channel the discussion in favor of Biden. And what Trump needs to do is he needs to take charge. When they ask him a question that he might have a little bit of trouble answering, or they're trying to guide the discussion over to something that favors Biden, he needs to intercept that with something and pin Biden down on the economy, on the border, on the foreign policy, on the wars that he started, on all of it. He needs the energy independence. He needs to funnel that discussion to where it nails Biden. Now, of course, Tapper or whoever is doing it is going to try to intercept that because he doesn't want to give Biden a bad light. But Trump needs to be very good. And I'm here. I am telling Trump's a master at this. So, but that's all I see happening.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Just is related to what we just talked about. If Tony Branco was advising him, I know he's got to do it because if he don't do it, they're going to claim he's a coward. Okay, but does he gain anything by even getting into that setup, Tony, with CNN and CBS and NPR, this bunch? Because I just think all they're going to do now, and it just yesterday exasperated this thing. I thought even if he wouldn't have got convicted yesterday, that the debates were going to be about Stormy Daniels, J6, basically Letitia James. They were going to bring up Russia. They were going to bring up everything they could from the, all the crap from the first time. And we were not going to talk about our borders, our economy, the groceries, or anything like that. And do you think he gains anything by this, or who's got the most to lose? Because again, I've got a lot of confidence in Trump, like you. He's the master chess player, and he knows what he's doing. I'm not going to sit here and give him advice. He can do what he wants to do. I just think that if he's going to do it, I would not allow them to dictate the terms of that debate, though. He needs to step up and say, I'm not coming into that arena like this. Now, we will have a fair debate. If it's fair, I'll debate you anytime. But see, they've put cinder blocks on him, Tony, already before he gets in there.
And if that's the case, which I think if they'll look at any kind of Trump balking at any of that, they'll look at it as him afraid to debate. But if he can go in there, like I said, and divert the discussion, we know where they're going to pull him. He's got to understand that they're going to try and pull him. He needs to go back, and this is a debating technique. You go in, you divert to a discussion or to your strengths, and his strengths are everything. His strengths are the economy. His strengths are the energy. His strengths are border security. It wouldn't take but just contrasting Trump in his mind and feeble Biden has got to benefit Trump anyway. If he can just keep them on track, every time they ask him a question about how great Biden is or whatever they want to go in that direction, every time they do that, he has to say, yeah, but let's look at the economy. Let's look at the energy. Let's look at everything that Biden has done has destroyed this country, and he needs to keep going back to it. Don't let them try to channel him in their direction.
Yeah, a couple of things. One other great cartoon you drew is of Mr. De Niro, and I love this "you talking to me" thing, and he used the profanity against the people on Monday or Tuesday, whenever the trial was going on, and then you got a never Trump De Niro. I got a greater question about, it's not just him, Hollywood in general. I was watching one of the shows tonight, and they were interviewing people on the street. They were asking him this question, and I'll ask you, do Hollywood endorsements ultimately matter, do you think, in this country? Are we so entertainment soaked that we even care what these losers say to us about politics?
No, what happens with politicians is what happens with actors and singers, when they endorse a guy, they lose half their audience.
That's true.
Half their audience. And like I remember they asked Elvis Presley one time, he says, what is your opinion on this and this and that? And he says, hey, I'm just a singer. All I do is sing. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to give any kind of political what for or anything like that. And they asked him right after that, they said, well, do you have an opinion on these things? He looks at him, goes, oh, yeah.
I remember that. Well, yeah. and I'll tell you, somebody else, Tony, that did that was Michael Jordan. They made a big deal of that in the 90s with him, and they said, it was something going on, and how do you feel about this? And he said, look, because they were trying to corner him whether he was Republican or Democrat, and I love what he said. He said, look, my Nike Jordans, I have just as many Republicans buying those as I do Democrats buying those. And he said, I would prefer not to lose business. So we're not going to say anything about either party. How about that? And then he just walked off. And that's smart. But these freaking imbeciles like Robert De Niro, I don't think he cares or gets that, does he? I mean, I wouldn't watch a dog show with him in it.
Yeah, I think he just is so full of hate and anger. He's probably, his career is suffering somewhere. He went through a divorce not too long ago. He's got a bunch of financial problems. I think he's just full of hate and anger. And Trump derangement says, if I can get it out, Trump derangement syndrome is a big problem out here. it clouds their judgment. It allows them to do things and say things that they don't even understand what they're talking about. You really nail down why they hate Trump. They don't really give you a coherent answer.
They don't know.
Oh, well, he said, grab him by the you-know-what on the bus. And that just, that's silly. That's silly stuff. I mean, especially when you look at Clinton, what he's done to women over the years.
But Tony, let me ask you also that along those lines, have we not, look, we're adults in the house here. Any movie that you see from Hollywood is nothing but a bunch of garbage with language in it that you can't even let your 18-year-old sit there with you and listen to it, let alone your children. And then they're complaining about a few words out of President Trump's mouth, like this bunch don't use profanity and the most vulgarity of vulgarities in their movies and stuff like that. That's a bunch of pitiful baby, and I was about to use a bad word, losing, pacifier sucking, losing actors, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of nailed it.
Yeah.
Kind of nailed it there.
But I'm with you there. Listen, a couple of quick things, and then we're going to interact with our audience for a few minutes. And thank you for coming on. I know you're not feeling the best. I got a little thing up about make groceries cheap again. Quick question. Do you think that ultimately that the election is going to come down to the border or grocery prices or gas prices, the danger overseas, Israel, this crap in Ukraine? Do you think that those issues will basically overshadow anything that happened in New York yesterday?
I think so. I think this is a blip. Everybody knows what this is. Everybody knows this was political. It wasn't. Everybody knows if it wasn't Trump, it wouldn't have happened. And they also know that if Trump didn't run, they wouldn't have pushed these charges. They pushed these charges right after they found out he was running for president on a charge that was what the statute of limitations had run out on it. So everybody knows this. It's not even the people who are celebrating right now know this, and they know it's going to be destroyed on appeal. So I think all the issues are still going to be there. They're going to be under the skin. People still got to go get gas at $5 a gallon. They still got to pay double what they were paying 3 years ago for food, rent, prices, housing, and all of that has gone up. And those are things that people will remember. And we as Republicans or conservatives, I don't call myself a Republican anymore, but we have to keep reminding those, people of that and what the issues are. And Trump has got to stay on task. I've noticed that he stays on task pretty much all the time, as far as he keeps it in the news, as far as the border and as far as the economy and energy and all of those things.
Yeah. Corey Aguilar posted something, and I'll ask you this as I let you go tonight. She says, I wonder what else the Dems come up with in November. If this fails, Tony Branco and his magnificent wisdom, what do you see them trying to do before November? Because her question and her statement, I think that all of us have asked that to ourselves, is if this is, look, my brother is a retired Air Force lieutenant colonel, and he's a smart man. I love him. He's my dear brother, and we talk about these things. And he said something to me a couple of years ago, and he said, Chris, if they will weaponize a virus to destroy a man in an election, he said they'll go to no ends to destroy this country. We're witnessing a little bit last night. But, Tony, I don't think this is the last rabbit in the hat that these guys are going to pull out of their hat. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I hope he's got a double-vested bulletproof vest. I mean, I hope that he has food tasters all around him. And, I'm kind of joking there, but the thing is, these people, we already know that there's no extent to what these people will do to stop him, because the deep state, they believe what they're doing is detrimental to the survival of our country, these deep staters. And they think that Trump is in the way of that. Now, they'll do anything and feel and sleep like a baby the next day. They have no problem And so he needs a lot of prayer. He needs a lot of prayer from us out here for protection. That's all I've got to say about that. I did a cartoon not too long ago about that, alluding to JFK. If they couldn't stop him, what do we do? And then they glance up at a picture of JFK.
I know, man.
If you remember that.
Yeah, but, I do. Well,
he needs some divine intervention here, because they're not going to stop, and that's the last thing. And of course, if they attempt something like that, it won't look like it's from the deep state. It won't look like it's from CIA. It'll look like some disgruntled guy just happened to have a gun and just kind of meandered in through and got through security, and you know how it works. This
Absolutely.
Is how they.
Well, I do believe there's a lot of people that are legitimately concerned for his life at this point. And I even saw one lady tonight said, look, most people would have given this fight up a long time ago with all this stuff that's hit him, because he's got a family, Tony. That's what people don't realize. I'd say this audience, they do realize it, but I think there's a lot of people out there that maybe don't, that, you're not just talking about a politician. You're talking about a husband. You're talking about a father, a grandfather. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a human being.
Great kids. He's raised great kids.
Great kids. And they've got to be hurting tonight. I know Melania's probably hurting. I know Barron's hurting, all of them. They're mad, and they should be, that this is being done to their father and their husband and their grandfather. And I just, we lose this human element in this country. We just think these things are good for our social media posts and our Facebook lives and our YouTube podcasts. But there's a man behind that picture right there that I got, and I respect that man a lot, and I always have. I feel like that maybe there was some of us that worshipped him a little bit in 2016 and even 2020, and we realized that he is a little human like we all are. And I think that took our attitude, makes us have a more balanced attitude toward him this go around. But I've never stopped supporting him, and I never will, and I'm going to vote for him harder. And I'm like you, I hope that people took your advice tonight. It's time that we make our voice heard against this. And the best way to cripple the Democrat Party is to beat them at the polls and put money behind President Trump, send them a message that this is unacceptable, what happened yesterday.
And get engaged.
And get engaged with this, not violently, but get engaged in the process and get engaged with your local campaigns, your local Republican parties. One quick question. Do you think this galvanizes the fringe Republican Party now, like the Never Trumpers? Do you think some of them even come back to the fold with this? I saw Mike Pence out there today. He was defending Trump. He said this is a travesty. And look, Mike Pence is no fan of Donald Trump right now.
No, I agree. I think that what the left has done here is they've been successful in dehumanizing him to the left, to their base. They don't look at him as a normal human being like we probably do.
Well said.
They look at him as an evil Hitlerian type of person that needs to be stopped before he massacres millions of Jews. That's how deranged these people are. They're not looking at a human being. They're not looking at a guy that has a sense of humor, has a wife, has kids. They're looking at a demon, something that they've conjured up into their head. I used to say that, Obama was a clean screen where they could project whatever they wanted on that screen, and that's who Obama was to them. Although he was nothing, he had accomplished nothing. He was just basically a new senator, but yet they projected this savior mentality on Obama. Well, they're doing the opposite with Trump. They're projecting the most evil, corrupt human being they've ever met up on this screen. And it's like they've drank the Kool-Aid and they can't see beyond it. And even to see that the criminal justice system has been corrupted.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you, buddy. Man, it's been a great show, and I know it's a Friday night. I'm going to let you get back to your family. Thank you for taking time. And listen, we're going to get you back on in a few weeks on a video interview. I'll get with you and set that up soon. Keep doing those great cartoons. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to wrap us up on this Friday night, and then I'm going to talk to the audience and take some questions from them. Grateful to have you, and you know that you've always got a welcome out here at the McFiles, and we're grateful to be partnering with you this year with this fight for this country, Tony. I really appreciate you, man. Looking forward to meeting you in person one day, maybe. But listen, give us a final thought or two, and we'll wrap this up between us tonight.
Well, I just want to thank you for having me on. Let me pontificate and vent a little bit about what's going on. I just urge people to get out and be a part of the system. You know, get involved locally as far as your voters. I don't know what you call it right off the top of my head, but get involved in the process. Along with send a donation if you can. Call your congressman. I watch the War Room a lot with Steve Bannon. He's an advocate for getting involved, calling your congressman, and that's my final thought on it.
Sounds good, man. Listen, you take care of yourself. Get better with this cold, and we're going to get you back in here soon. And thank you for these great cartoons. Keep cartooning. And, you know, you can always do part 2 of McDonald. That dumb foolery was one of the best works ever. I'm just saying. I'll have to put a cowboy hat. Next one, you got to do a cowboy hat or do a White Earp thing, you know, sort of like that. But anyway, bless your friend. Have a good night. Good weekend. Thank you, Tony.
You too, buddy.
Good night.
Talk to you later.
Tony Branco, everybody. Put some fire in that house for him, and he wasn't feeling the best, and I want to thank him for coming on tonight by phone. We had tried to get Judge Allen. Judge Allen had a previous engagement. She was going to come on tonight, but we've got a brand new guest coming next week because of Judge Allen. She's coming on, but we got a friend of hers up in Pennsylvania that practices law, constitutional law, and I'm so excited to have him. We'll announce that next week. And we got Eric Caron coming next week. He'll be back. He's in the country. Him and Bowl are actually going to be in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, so pray for them. Bowl Ding, the one that we've had on from Sudan, and he's going to be back on soon, and so forth. So we've got a good week next week. It'll be more toward the end of the week. I'll be with you Monday and Tuesday night. James R. will be with me late Monday night. Jason Miller will be pontificating, whatever that word means. I don't even know what that word means. Bill O'Reilly, I think, used it one time, pontificating. I guess it means running your mouth. Jason's fired up in the bullpen. We ain't had Jason on in a long time. But can you believe getting him and James R. in the same? That'd be pretty wild to get them in a panel. That'd be awesome. But James R. is going to be on for a short time Monday night to give his thoughts as what's happened. And then Jason, it'll all be late. It'll be late night Monday special. Then Tuesday night we'll be late with you. I'll probably be with you by myself Tuesday. But so we got a great week ahead next week. We really do. And we thank you all for being with us this whole week on this solemn week. We have Memorial Day Monday. And then this is what happened with President Trump. We got about 15, 20 minutes. If you've got a question or you got a statement, we can be more than happy to take your question and so forth. And good to see old Jake Franchise in the house. Jake, my dear buddy from Chicago, good to see you tonight, man. It's awesome to have you. And he said, I'm all for making them groceries great again, cheap again. Amen, brother. Amen. Amen. That's all I got to say is amen. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that one. I do have a couple of funny ones that I pulled off the internet tonight. My sister posted this one on Facebook tonight. I had to share it. Don't tell her I stole her meme off of her Facebook page. We the people have had enough. And I think we can amen that one tonight pretty loud. I think we have definitely had enough. This is from our friends at the Babylon Bee. I would love to get those folks. I don't know who this guy is that does this website. I understand he's a Christian, actually. And he is so funny. But he put this out this afternoon. The Democrats celebrate Trump being convicted of whatever it is or was he did. Whatever it was that he did. And that's a good one there. There's also this one. This was probably the one I laughed at. It wasn't Tony's cartoon. I think Garrison did this one, but somebody did this one tonight. I love this. Marshawn saying guilty on all counts. And Trump says, does this mean the gag order is lifted? Because Trump's been out there. I'm going to tell you something. Trump went scorched earth this afternoon, this morning on Marshawn. And I thought this was perfect. This is perfectly said. I guess the gag order is lifted now. I'm guilty on 34 counts. So now I go out and burn the place to the ground. So it was a good one right there. But there's been a lot of good stuff, a lot of serious stuff out there today as well. I do want to read this by, we've already read you the one from Drano. Let's see, this was somebody's Instagram post or Twitter post. I can't know what that is. That looks like, that's actually a Instagram post. It looks like that we're voting for a convicted felon. It came up on my feed, and I just took a screenshot of it. And I think that I think that we can all put a thumbs up in there. If you're going to vote for a convicted felon tonight, go ahead and put some fire in that house and put a thumbs up. Anyway. Dennis Floyd says the farce was the best campaign Trump could have done. The money gates have opened. Thanks for having Tony on. Dennis, well, thank you for that. You're welcome for that. We were grateful to have him on tonight. It was a good show. Looks like I'm voting for a convicted felon. If you are, put your thumbs up. I know what pontificate is, by the way. I was just making light of it. Chris always rants. Chris pontificates every night. I would say more to that, but I won't. Are you going to vote? Are you going to vote for a convicted felon? Look at all these hands and the fire in the house. I like that. Good to see Harriet Hunter in the house tonight. Harriet, great to see you. Cleo was in here earlier tonight. Good to see her. Kathy Long's in the house tonight. Good to see my dear. She's moderating out there. Trump, it looks like we're voting for a convicted felon. Now, this one is serious. This one's serious. This is David J. Harris Jr. It says, this is what he said. It didn't start with gas chambers. It started with one party controlling the media, one party controlling the message, one party deciding what is truth, one party censoring speech and silencing opposition, one party dividing the citizens into us and them and calling on their supporters to harass them. It started when good people turned a blind eye and let it happen. Now, he's referencing what took place in Nazi Germany in 1937 through 1945. Well said, Mr. Harris. I met David in person a couple of years ago at one of the National Religious Broadcaster Convention events. And he's a good guy. We tried to get him on the McFiles. He promised me he was coming, and he hadn't returned my call since. So I guess that was one of those, I'm trying to be nice to you. I don't really want to come on your show, but I'll tell you I'll come on anytime. But nothing personal. I like him. It's a good meme and a good statement to think about, folks. It never starts. And what happened yesterday was a ball that started rolling down a hill that ain't good. That ain't good. It ain't good. It ain't good. Well said. I guess we're going to vote for a convicted felon. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. All right. If you got any other questions, how many convicted felons are going to vote for Biden, Jimmy? That's a good question. I don't know. That's a great question. How many convicted felons are going to vote? I don't know. Jake says, anybody but Biden, I can run the country a lot better than him. That's the truth there, Jake. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. You know, we could have a Jake Mac ticket. The Mac J, James R. I mean, I got all sorts of ideas. You know, we could, Jay, we could run for a week. We would be famous, and then they disown us all. But I tell you what, we'd light it up, wouldn't we? We light it up. We would light it up. Gail Staten says, when and where did our election process become illegitimate? You know, Gail, that's a good question. I think that it was a slow process. I think that we let things sort of slip through the holes in the late 2000s, and we wasn't paying attention. I don't know if there's anybody specifically to blame for that other than the people that we the people. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, when you get down to it, everything that happens in this country, Gail, you know, we can put it on the politicians. I'm not saying the politicians they're nothing but a bunch of evil you-know-whats. They just are. Ultimately, we the people have to take responsibility for where we're at. All of us, me included. I'm saying that to myself tonight. I think we let things go, and we saw things probably in that time frame with McCain. And, you know, not only, let's just be frank with each other and all of us here tonight, folks, some of the choices the Republican Party made, how we ever nominated John McCain and Mitt Romney as our candidates in 2008 and 12 to run against an up-and-coming, young, charismatic black man who, I know he was evil as sin, but the country loved him to death. He beat them on their personality. They were a bunch of old guys that were trying to bring ideas back from the 1920s into the 2000s, and it was never going to be a contest against that. And that's the Republican Party. We did that. And, you know, I asked Magdalene Rose about this last night. I sent her a text, and I said, what do you think yesterday? And she just said, we got outmaneuvered again. And I know what she's saying. She's not happy with what happened, but again, these things have it's been a slow boil, Gail. I'll just answer your question like this. It slowly happened. It didn't happen overnight. I think they were planning a lot of things for many a month, many a decade, many a year, and it all came together. And it's not just our elections that a lot of people feel are illegitimate. I think our whole justice system has become illegitimate. Our financial markets have become illegitimate. We sure can't depend on the education system to do right by our kids. And while I'm at it, since this is a Friday night free-for-all, I guess I can say what I want to say. Our spiritual institutions have become a free-for-all too. They truly have. And I'm just wondering, I haven't even brought this up, but I'm going to bring it up. I wonder how many church people rejoiced yesterday over what happened. I wonder how many church folks are sitting there tonight thinking, this is all good. They got Trump yesterday. Woo! We probably don't want to answer that question. We probably won't want to answer that question. Anyway, Jake Franchise says that's 100%. Jake, I never get 100%. Thank you for that. Gail, I hope that answered your question, my friend. I don't like the answer to that question. Your question's great, but my answer is just not. I'm even listening to myself talk, and I'm like, how did we get to this point? And I think we're all responsible. We're all responsible when we get down to it. You know, we just are. And I think that it's time that we shake ourselves a little bit tonight. I think we got a wake-up call yesterday that if we don't start getting involved in our government, folks, if we don't start getting involved in the things around us that really matter, and can I meddle for a little bit tonight on a Friday night? Wasting our time listening to lies, slander, dirt, and the funny pages on YouTube, and listening to crap that don't matter to a hill of beans eternally, and wasting our effort in things that don't matter, putting our effort, our money, our resources into things that don't matter, while our country goes up in smoke. You've got people more worried about who wins the Oscars or who wins the Grammys or who wins this, that, or whatever, and what the basketball score is. And folks, I'm a sports fan. I watch sports. I love sports, but they're not my God. Look, what's going on tonight supersedes any concern I have whether the Braves win the Eastern Division of the National League. what's going on tonight has eternal ramifications for our nation. What's going on tonight around us, I think we've had better all, and I'm saying all, folks. I'm not fussing and scolding any of you out there tonight. I'm saying this to all of us, me included, me more than you. This has been a wake-up call for me over the last 24 hours. I'm saying this to myself. It's time we get our butt in gear. It's time we start focusing on the things that matter eternally. If we don't, we ain't going to have a country. If we don't, we ain't going to have a country. And our focus has got to be above. It's just got to be above. It's got to be above. Anyway, Wesley Hill says, do you believe Joe Manchin changing from Democrat to Independent could help in the Senate till his term is over? Wesley, that's a great question, and I'm glad that you brought that up. That was big news today, and that got missed by the media. They didn't want to talk about it because it was an earthquake. For those of you that didn't hear today, the West Virginia senator, he's really always been sort of an independent thinking guy. I've had my issues with Joe Manchin in the past, but he basically came out today and decertified himself as a Democrat, and now he's an independent. Now, what that does for the balance of power in the Senate, I ultimately don't know. If Wesley, I'll answer your question like this. If he calls himself an independent and all he does is vote with the Democrats, then all that is just a bunch of bluster and it don't really matter. Because that's what Bernie Sanders does. Bernie Sanders is an independent. But he's never going to vote for the Republicans. He's never going to vote Republican. So that term independent don't mean jack crap. Now, if Joe Manchin, and he has voted with the Republicans on some things. So I'm not demeaning this tonight. It's big. It's a big deal. I think Joe Manchin got a wake-up call yesterday, too. I think a lot of independent Democrats, middle of the road, conservatives, because there are conservative Democrats, there are not many, but there are a few. But I think they saw this yesterday and realized their party has been hijacked by a bunch of fascists and Marxists and communists. It just has. It just has. And Wesley, your question's a good one. We'll see. I think a lot depends on how he votes. And if he's just doing this for namesake, then we'll find that out soon enough, won't we? Anyway. Well, Cedric, you say it's his last-ditch effort to get reelected. You know, I'm not going to disagree with that. It could be very political. I think I've given that. When I heard that today, I'm not going to deny that didn't come across my mind too. That it's all for politics and all for show. Because can I use a somewhat adult word on my show tonight? I've used it before and I got in trouble. But being that we're studying something in the morning Bible studies along this line, I guess I won't get in trouble tonight. Let's just be frank with you folks. The people running our country are nothing but a bunch of political whores. Selling their self to the highest bidder and selling their self to the highest special interest, selling their soul, selling their votes, selling their influence to whoever they can get to support them. They don't care about we the people. They've been sent up there to represent us, but they don't go up there to represent us. No, they go up there and they become a bunch of political whores. Just like a lot of ministers have become spiritual ones and selling their soul to the highest bidder. Now, I know that's a little adult, but this is, I don't have this word up tonight, the McFriday free-for-all. I'll amen myself on that one tonight. I'll amen myself. Jake Franchez, I speak your mind, Chris. It's your channel, and I will do it. Thank you, buddy. Pay to bray. Kill ZELLE, that's the truth there. That's the truth. Anyway. Folks, listen, it's right at 10 o'clock. I'm grateful that you've been with us tonight. I want to say thank you to Natalie Corbin, Outdoory West, Kathy Long, Jason Miller, Cleo Cleotis, our moderators tonight. We wrap up another month. Thank them for the job they do. We appreciate all of them. And each one is special. Our continued prayers for Cleo down under tonight. special request. We'll be praying for the sick Sunday. We'll be praying for the sick Sunday on our Sunday morning Bible study. Sunday night, we may have a Bible study Sunday night. And again, we'll be back to normal probably middle of the week. But we hope that you've enjoyed the shows this month and this week as we wrap up another round of McFiles. I tell you what, we are 6.5 years in. Can you believe, come January, February of 2025, we will have put 7 years in the books. Isn't that wonderful? I think that deserves a thumbs up and some fire in that house and a tip of the hat to you, because let me tell you something, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. If it wasn't for you. And I want to welcome all my ex-listeners in tonight. Not EX listeners. I'm talking about X, as in Twitter. Got to be careful. Let's say that. No, I'm talking about X, like the Twitter X, not EX. All you Facebook folks, it's good to see you tonight. Especially you YouTube news networkers and so forth. So forth. Oh. Mark Kaysen, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Son Chance says we need term limits on all politicians, but Congress and senators will never vote for that. Sundance, I got a better one for you. We need to change politicians like we changed diapers. You know why? Because they're both full of the same thing. How about that one? They're both full of the same thing. Politicians and diapers need to be changed for the same reason. And I'll leave that one to your imagination. I saw this today in a store, and I loved it. I had to take a picture of it. I had to take a picture of this because this sums it up. I know that all of us are entirely bonkers. I know I am. But let me tell you a little secret tonight. All the best people are. All the best people are. And we that care about this country, all the best people are. All the best people are. Here's another version of the Mad Hatter. All the best people are cray-cray. We're cray-cray. We're cray-cray a little bit sometimes, but that's all right. Our heart's in the right place. And I thank you all for being with me tonight. Look, I'm joking around a little bit here at the end, but let me just tell you sincerely, folks, we appreciate you all. I wouldn't be here tonight doing this. I love what I do. I've loved it from the day I started it. And with the Lord's help and grace, we're going to be doing this until He comes. I really mean that, unless He just comes to me specifically and says, it's time to wrap it up. You've done your job. Now it's time to do something else. I hope He don't do that, because I really love this. I love being with you every night, and I thank you all for the encouragement. I thank you for the gifts, the encouragement, the donations, and just the little nods from time to time, an email to say thank you for what you do. It helps. It encourages. And we want to thank you all, our moderators, all of you that make this show what it is. And we want to thank Tony Branco tonight for being with us tonight on this Friday night, the final day of May 2024. And we start June 1st tomorrow. God help this country. And God bless you. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America. I will see you next on Sunday morning. Sunday morning Bible study time, and then I will see you again next week. We got some great guests coming, folks. Trust me, we're going to have a good time together. Until then, McDonald out on a Friday night. Thank you all for being with me. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed. Be blessed. Be blessed.